Well, today I'm looking at the Ford Focus ST. Kind of lost a bit of its steam when the RS came out from Ford. That is the hot hatchback with all-wheel drive, 350 horsepower, much more expensive. And it's nice to see now that we get these European-inspired hot hatches that they've enjoyed on that side of the ocean for decades, and Ford is bringing them in. If you think of Ford and the breadth of the different engines available, all the way from a 1-liter 3-cylinder up to their conventional 4-cylinder turbocharged EcoBoost engines like this ST, all the way up to that sort of rally-inspired car. There's lots of choices in the Focus family. Now, on price, this one probably competes closest against a 5-door GTI. This is actually $1,000 less if you want to get this car than a GTI, but it's a little bit smaller. The GTI is very boxy, and because of that, it's got a very functional back seat and cargo area. This car has a more cramped back seat and it's a little bit more of a swept look to it, which will appeal to some. So on the outside, nothing too dramatic. Yes, you get the optional black wheels I have here. It's definitely sportier than the regular Focus, but it is the one I would choose, and I'll tell you why when we go for a drive. Now, one of the criticisms I had of the Focus RS is the fact that it had the exact same interior as this car, the ST. You get the heavily bolstered Recaro seats, you get the same dash. It looks pretty much exactly the same. That car's a lot more money than this, so you might decide if this is actually some value for you. And it really comes down to the seats when people get into this car, because if you're a big boy, you need not apply. These are tight. These are heavily bolstered Recaros, and they're really narrow around your bum, and there's not a lot of wiggle room. And to be honest with you, I don't find them that comfortable, especially for longer trips. I pointed out on that RS review, the ST I've driven of this and the Fiesta, the pitch of the bottom of the seat, you can't change that. If you push the power seat, it just goes up and down, but the pitch doesn't change. And when you're on a longer trip, your knees are higher than your hips, and that can get tiring. All you want to do is sort of stretch out a little bit. You can't do that with this car. So for short periods of time, for the boy racer kind of fun you might have with it, absolutely. But to live with it every day, I wish you could change the pitch. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Plus, everything in here is covered in leather. You get the nice leather steering wheel, it's heated, you get heated front seats, you get the new sync system, the 3rd generation, which is much faster. If you want navigation, it's going to be $800 to add that in. Those are the only two options we have on this car, $600 for the black wheels outside and $800 for the Navi. Now, the Focus, when this generation first came out, really was a leader in terms of soft touch materials all across the doors and the top of the dashboard. Even the Fiesta has this. It's a very cockpit-centric dashboard. It makes the driver feel important. All of that is good. The only issue I have, I drove this on a bright sunny day, the top of the dash closest to the windshield has hard plastic, but it's highly reflective. It hits the windshield and reflects back to the driver, and that line between the soft touch dash and the hard dash really is noticeable when you're driving on a bright sunny day. The shifter feels good in your hand, the steering wheel, it's nicely fitted in here, and to compare it to the GTI, it's a bit tough because that has a very minimalist, real German, almost Audi-like feel on the inside. This is more of a classic European sporty hatchback, and let's take it for a drive. All right, under the hood of the Ford Focus ST is a 2-liter EcoBoost engine that's good for 252 horsepower. Here's some excellent news. It runs on regular gas. Also, there's a handbrake, no electronic parking brake, and away we go. Now, all the power goes to the front wheels through a manual-only transmission. Gotta love that. It's a 6-speed unit. Nice feeling shifter here. The pedals are nicely placed for heel and toe downshifting, and it's a car that definitely, as soon as you drive it, you know that this is kind of a bit of attitude. Now, I'm driving along this side street here, and I'm kind of doing it for a reason, because the suspension really is a bit crashy. And that's one of the things I would like to see. This car has a place, absolutely. There's going to be people that want this car because it has this firm suspension. What I would love to see is Ford come out with a kind of a halfway car. So you get a bit more of a normal suspension, not the heavily bolstered seats, but you get this great engine and all of this power. And the reason is there's almost no turbo lag, or actually there is no turbo lag. Even if you put this car into low RPMs and mash on the throttle, it pulls. It's got great tractability. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out. All right. And we're basically just at idle, just about 1,000 RPM. Put your foot into it, and it pulls away almost right away. Now, most people aren't going to do that. You're going to give it a little bit of throttle, but it shows just how tractable this engine is. It really is the star of the show. And the power is excellent, and the steering response is very, very good. It's a very tight ratio to the steering, and they've done an excellent job as a driver's car. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about using regular gas, you can only put 10 US gallons in here, about 38 liters. It's a tiny tank. You drive for a few days and you got to fill it up. That is a pain in the ass. I hope they would have a bigger gas tank, but that's not the case. I'm coming back to the GTI again because it's about the same price and it's a front driver as well. This car definitely lets you know you're driving a sporty car, where the GTI has a much more sophisticated feel to it. As I always talk about those cars, it's kind of like Audi Light, and this is definitely a detuned version of that RS. But for everyday driving, I think this is actually a better car. And if you drive on the highway where you can take advantage of the stiffer suspension, it doesn't kill you on a nice smooth highway. And if you're driving longer commutes, you can actually get some pretty good fuel economy out of this car as well. But it has a nice sound to it. It has a great feel to it. If you can fit in these seats, it has a good feel for shorter bursts. But overall, am I enjoying driving it? Absolutely. And here's the thing, I had this car when it first came out a couple of years ago, and I don't remember it being this much fun. I'm wondering if they have done some tuning to the twin turbos to make it more responsive, because I don't remember it feeling this way in the past. On paper, they don't say there are any changes, but I can feel like there are changes. So at $33,495, this car is almost exactly $1,000 less expensive than a 5-door GTI. This car has more power. Arguably, it's got more tech features on the inside and those heavily bolstered Recaros, love them or not. I would love for Ford to come out with a sport version of the Focus with this engine, without the heavily bolstered seats and a slightly less crashy suspension, and you could have so much fun on your daily commute. This really has more boy racer than the more refined GTI drive. The power is fantastic, very linear, tractable from all RPMs. You definitely notice you're driving something performance-oriented when you get into some bumps, but it's a whole lot of fun to drive. If you're in the market for a hot hatch, try the ST.